Hey guys, Mr. Riss here. So we're going to continue on the second day of the 2.4 notes. So we're going to keep working with imaginary numbers today and complex numbers, but our goal today is to make sure we can distribute them or multiply the complex numbers. So a big concept before we start beginning here is to realize or remember what's special about the imaginary number I. I keep clicking the wrong tools. So here we go. So maybe off to the side, right? Remember that I is the square root of -1. So if I square I, if I times it by itself, I'm going to take the square root of -1 times itself, or squared. And squares and square roots cancel out. So I squared becomes -1. So if I were to go ahead and distribute this, imagine we are going to do the same rules if we have an x. So -2.5i times 8, well, let's see, -2.5 times 8 is -20. And we have an I here, so we make it -20i. Now -2.5 times 9i, we do the -2.5 times -9, which is positive 22.5. And then I times I is I squared. What we have to do now with these complex imaginary numbers is to remember that I squared is -1. So this -22.5, we're going to times by -1. Or in other words, we're going to make it negative. So really this is going to become -20i minus 22.5. And then we just have to remember to answer the form in a plus bi, where we put our real number first. This is our real number, followed by our imaginary number. So this property or problem works the same way as if we were just foiling as well. So if I were to try to FOIL the expression here, there we go. All right, I would do 3 times 3 and 3 times 2i. So 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 2i is 6i. Then I would move to the second part of the expression here. -2i times 3 is -6i. And -2i times 2i is -4i squared. Well, what I'm going to do then is look to see if I have any I squareds. I squareds I'm going to turn into a -1. And so let's look to see what happens here. This is going to become a 9. We would have a plus 6i and minus 6i, which goes away. And we have 9, and then -4 times -1 becomes +4. So this is a nice property that we will use later on. But we're just going to get 9 plus 4 here, which is 13. So today we're going to practice multiplying these expressions and reducing them into their proper form. Sometimes we can reduce them, we can just get one real answer. Sometimes we can reduce them, we get just one imaginary answer. And a lot of times when we multiply and reduce it, we get two of them, a real and an imaginary part, which we just write as the complex number. So let's go through these two problems here and see if we can figure it out. And we'll do fractions here because fractions make us better. All right, so let's do 2.5i times 10, or not 2.5, 2/5 I times 10. So let's see, that'd be 20/5, aka 4i if we multiply. And then 2/5 times 5/2. All right, type it in a calculator if you don't know, but this becomes a minus because one's positive, one's negative, and 2/5 times 5/2 becomes a 1. I squared. I times I is I squared. So let's rewrite this. This would be a 4i minus 1 times -1. So really this is a 4i plus 1. And now what we want to do is make sure we put this in the a plus bi form. We put our real number first, followed by our imaginary. So real number is 1 plus our imaginary number is 4i. So there's the answer for that first part. Okay. Next, let's multiply these two together. So we're going to have to double distribute. And this is actually a special term. So in the next section, this is going to make more sense. But these are called conjugates, when they're the same expression except for the symbol in the middle is opposite. So, okay, let's do a half times a half. 1/2 times a half is 1/4. And a half times -2i is just a -1i or -i. Okay, now let's do the 2i. 2i times a half is a positive 1i, or a positive I. And then 2i times negative 2i is a negative 4i squared. So I like to rewrite this as much as I can. So I have a negative, or not a negative, I have a 1/4. This negative I and the positive I will cancel each other out. So there's no i's. And then we would have a -4, but I'm not going to write I squared, times -1. So really this equation is negative, or why do I keep saying negative? It is 1/4 plus 4, which would be what, 4 1/4. If you're lazy, you can write 4.25. And if you want to get real fancy, you can say, okay, that would be 17/4 as a fraction. But we're just combining those together. Okay. So I believe this is as much as we're covering today. I want to double check that before I end the video. Yep, that is dividing there. That's what we're going to do next. So let's look at the CYU to make your life a little bit easier. Once again, I got the 9 Club up. Let's look, preview today's CYU. So let me see if I got some tougher problems up here that don't come out nice that we haven't gone through examples of. Okay, so let's do this first one together. So we're going to W distribute. We got 4 times -5. Well, that's -20. And then we got 4i times, or 4 times 4i, which would be a positive 16i. Then we got to distribute the -3i. So -3i times 15i, or -5i is a positive 15i. -3i times 4i is a -12i squared. So really this is -20. We can combine these two together. Let's see, that would be 31i. And then this here, we're going to change to -12 times -1. So if you want to, you can almost kind of skip this part here and just, I'd like to write it as -20 plus 31i plus 12. So now we combine this positive 12 with the -20. Let's put our real number first. So that would be a -8 plus 31i. And that would be the answer there. And you just type it out like that. Okay, let's find one more here. Is there a scary one here with fractions or anything? No, that one should be fine. Should be fine there. Yeah, that one you guys should be good on. Maybe let's do this one here. I have a feeling this one's going to come out a little weird. All right, so we got 2 times -3 is -6. 2 times 6i is 12i. Let's see. Next, we got -i times -3 is a positive 3i. And then -i times 6i is a -6i squared. So we'd have a -6. We can combine the i's together, be 15i. And then -6 times I squared is -1. So really we have -6 plus 15i plus 6, and we can combine those together. And those would actually cancel out. So we would just get left with 15i here. Now you could put 0 plus 15i. That would be a correct answer as well. And the answer key should be set up to accept both of those. All right, hopefully you guys have some fun with this. These are becoming a little bit easier. Now the next part is kind of tricky. So I took this up into 2 days, so I know the split groups could spend some time making sure we understand this, before we move on to the tough stuff, which is the dividing. All right, guys, have a great day. I will see you next time. All right, let's end the video.